My father is a Black American, and when I was little, I used to think everybody's father was the same skin tone as my own, until I moved into a white neighborhood, and I couldn't understand what went wrong. I was probably about 7 at the time, and it had to be explained to me that we were different. And so I think that I tell you that short story because in my mind, it was something that had to be taught to me, and that we know there's a lot of sharing out there that kids don't know color and we have to teach it, and that I do believe racism is a learned behavior. So when we talk about overt behaviors, those behaviors have happened more blatantly maybe 50 years ago, but they have returned and resurfaced in the last few years. And we can't deny that, when you define overt behaviors and racism, it's something that is very clear, and you see it unapologetically. And so hate speech, flyers, I use that example, importance of dominating a culture or race. I've seen anti-Semitism flyers that go out in my own community, in my own town. I saw, clear hate against people biracial that should not be living together. I've seen these things in 2020. Social commentary and memes, very clear, happening to myself. I have witnessed it and experienced it. And it could be subtler, but when you're somebody who knows, you see it for what it is. And that's more of that covert behavior that you start to get a sense for. Hate crimes, and just to point out that we are not perfect, I see a flaw in beating and killing someone. So beat or kill someone, that can't get any more blatant than that, and that is what we have witnessed in the last 30 days. 5 different people, I want to acknowledge that, 5 Black people that were killed in the public. We've got to watch it, and I understand that. I do understand. Subculture issues that arrive from overt behaviors too, which are sexism, classism. We talk about our biases, we have them, and we don't even realize we have them. And when we look for characteristics in candidates that we hire, which is a part of the role I have here at BDA, we have to take our own biases out of it. And so we had to operationally define what are those characteristics that we look for as a good fit for the culture of our organization and for the learners and students that we support. Systematic oppression is something that is very much an overt behavior, and we talked about this yesterday. Healthcare, housing, specific social groups that are denied this because of the color of their skin. And we don't want to acknowledge that, and I think that is the biggest place that we can have impact. As a Generation Xer, I feel like from years ago, Brett, with Rodney King, we talked about that. We've forgotten what riots do to people and communities, and we have to remember that we want change to come from things like that. We don't want to ignore it, and so we have to do better. I take responsibility. I have to do better. So the covert behaviors are tied to a lot of these microaggressions. So when you define it in racism, that it's concealed in the fabric of society, in different classes and cultures, discriminating against individuals through passive methods and decisions. So jokes in the workplace, it could be pictures, it could be innuendos, referencing and asking somebody, hey, when might the NBA open? Because their skin happens to be brown. Assuming something about someone's position, like you're the token, let's call it for what it is. Yes, there are policy regulations that the country and policies that say you have to have X amount of brown skin and people of color. Got it, but when people label you as such, and we can talk about labels that happen as a part of microaggressions as well, is that you have to fit a certain way. It's a problem. Crossing the street or getting out of an elevator, like May referenced, as well as assuming other minorities within an organization. Now, most people might assume I'm Latino because of the color of my skin. I am a biracial woman. My mother is white American. She's an Italian woman, and she's got a lot of personality, and I love her dearly. But people make assumptions just by the tones. And so within a culture, there can be subculture issues that exist. We know in Black culture, tones of skin can be an issue, the color of your eyes. There's lots of things that happen, but what's happening in America today in the last 30 days is about Black Americans dying in our faces. And we can no longer sit back and think, well, not today. I don't have anything to say today. It's about people are dying all the time, okay, but not because of the color of their skin like it's happening today. So I acknowledge that, and I know we're all witnessing it and we want to change. So see, there are some comments and statements that we kind of came up with. So examples, you speak very well, you're very articulate, as if I shouldn't. I have student loans I just paid off to show for my education. Thank you very much, grad school. So it's not that I just speak well because I speak well. I had to practice for a very long time. And it's not as if I didn't speak well before that, right? Even within a certain culture, if people want to use slang, as they call it, that's their prerogative, you know? Some people call it, my name is Heather, they call me Hev. Is that slang? Does that mean that I'm not articulate? Those are examples that we're using today. Do you speak English? Well, we live in a multicultural country today. People come from all walks of life, all skin tones, all backgrounds. And we need to embrace that. You know, we are all immigrants when we look back at it, and we need to embrace it. So someone could be, and I don't want to call Pierre out, but I believe that you are from Haiti. So do you speak Creole or know of a second language? So our English might be our first language. We may know other languages and be from other areas. We can't make those assumptions about people, but we do, because it's a part of our biases. So as long as I acknowledge that in myself, like, oh, Pierre is just a black man. Oh, wait, Pierre is actually Haitian and he speaks Creole. Big difference, right? So I use that example and pick on Pierre because he's a good man.
Most people don't know that I'm adopted and biracial, so like they make jokes about Native American people and they make jokes about Japanese and Italian. And I'm all three. Like, people say nasty stuff on social media. Somebody said that's the Japanese Tony Stark. It's like weird, like just, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm proud, cool.
I think one is late, and I've said that already, but the all lives matter. I mean, people die every day. And so minimizing what's happening today is a covert racist behavior we may not be aware of. When you come into the present moment, that you can be aware of your own actions, your own words, your own microaggressions. When somebody different walks in the room, that is what starts to create change, is our own self-awareness. Might seem very simple, right? What about those people that are self-aware and they don't care? What about that? Well, I do believe in karma, so those folks have that reciprocal feedback that will come from their lack of awareness, right? But our behavioral karma has taught us a lot here at BDA, and I know that if I am the model and I can stand in my own truth, then I think others will feel uncomfortable from not standing in their own. And so the ACT and commitment therapy has been really invaluable at BDA, especially in a pandemic, which we have to not forget. We're having a pandemic, we're having an economic crisis, and now we are having a social justice crisis. That's always been there. I feel that people say 2020, oh, it's the worst year ever. What if 2020 was the best year ever to create change? What if everything has bubbled up and it's popped and now we have to do something? Because maybe we were too comfortable. And Brett has said that in the last, I think back in January, he started to say we're getting too comfortable. And then the world changed in March.